Hey, we're back here on the network. Hey, Chris.
Patrick.
We are back here. What a week this has been. I mean, this is a week that I think all of us shudder to think it's some of the decisions that are being made around this country. Of course, today we are heavily talking about the unfaithful execution of Troy Davis. This is a terrible situation in this country that I think we really need to confront some of the executions that have happened, especially over the years. And recently we see another guy where there was significant evidence that proved his innocence. Am I right?
Yeah, this is the one where black people have to take one in the loss column. We took a couple of hits this week, and not with Obama not really responding to the Libyan ethnic cleansing thing going on with the rebels, and then the Troy Davis thing. The Troy Davis thing, that was really official because Obama's his new secretary, press secretary, came out Wednesday morning and says that we're not going to intervene at all on the Troy Davis situation. The president's not going to cut in on that whatsoever. So he officially, it wasn't just a silence. He actually announced it. So after that, of course, they went and appealed to the Supreme Court one more time. Supreme Court got that appeal, got that petition from his lawyers, but they sat on that right up until, understand, he was scheduled to be executed at 7 p.m.
Yes.
It was almost 8 p.m. before the Supreme Court says, okay, we'll look at this. We're ready to deliberate now. So it was really, I get the feeling it was up to it was probably the prison superintendent who gave him an extra hour and said, hey, since you're waiting for the Supreme Court, I'll give you some more time. We'll wait on your decision. Otherwise, I think the Supreme Court was saying, maybe he'll be dead by the time we get around to, responding. But it's a lot of fishy stuff going on regarding that.
Yeah, execution, the travesty of executions is that evidence can be manufactured. Evidence, that the chain of evidence can be tainted in such a way that I think that it is really, I think if you're going to execute somebody, it has to be cut and dry. Like the situation in Texas with one of the gentlemen that dragged Bird.
Yes.
I mean, these guys were vicious. Right. They decapitated Bird. I am not for capital punishment, but if you're going to do it, it's got to be cut and dry.
It's got to be cut and dry.
You can't be a preponderance of evidence,
right,
or we've got trace evidence and all of this. There have been situations around the country for a number of years where we have seen executions that these are people that are innocent. I think it's inhumane. Why are we one of the few countries that's still imprisoning and using capital punishment? And this is what, 2011?
Yeah, here's the thing. It's 2011, and capital punishment is not capitally feasible. Okay, in a capitalistic society, it costs hundreds of millions. To capital cases cost, the capital trials and everything, they cost millions anyway. All right. Then you're gonna feed the guy, you house and feed the guy for the next
20 years.
10, 15, 20 years.
When did the Troy Davis crime? Was that 89?
89.
So you're talking about close to 30 years.
He was convicted and sentenced in 91. So it is 20 years exactly since his sentencing.
Right.
About. Okay, but yeah, 21 years if you count the time he actually got involved in that. The time they accused him of doing this. So it's really bad. So I'm amazed that with all this debate that the right talks about, the budget, blah blah blah, this and that, they don't want to let go of capital punishment, even though it's not economically feasible.
It they're always talking about cutting the budget.
Always talking about cutting the budget.
Overspending.
Yep.
The institution of corrections around this country is one of the most wasteful spending institutions there is.
Sure, sure.
And this, we're moving towards an election year, and we have candidates on the far right that I think are absolutely dangerous. This governor from Texas is dangerous. I would say he has got one of the highest percentages of execution in this country that he's gotten wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Gotten wrong.
Yeah.
Can we continue to do this? There was significant evidence that said Troy Davis was an innocent man.
I think nowadays, the more times you prove a black man is innocent, the more defiant these people become. Okay? And it's thorough, First, you got the police, whatever, and they brainwash the families to believe this is the guy, and the family's convinced. This Mark McPhail, his family was there, and throughout the whole thing, they even let them watch the execution. They didn't allow Troy Davis's family to come in.
No,
they just there, and they're like, well, he's the one. We feel that we got some closure. That's their new word now, closure.
Closure.
You have closure with the wrong guy. You idiot McPhail family. You failed. You failed. You're failures.
I don't understand this sense of justice in the murder of another person. He killed mine, so I'm going to kill you, even though the evidence points to he didn't do it. If I would not want a person to be executed just for the sake of saying that he's the one that did it.
Well, you know what the thing is, what I've been hearing, and even in ancient Africa, ancient Egypt, okay, they didn't have a death row, but you could be executed. All right, you just didn't sit around for 10 or 15 years, okay. But they didn't have prisons. They didn't have a prison system.
There were no prisons.
No. The prison thing is a European thing. It's a white Euro thing.
Right.
That's it. The art of keeping people. Okay? The business and industry of keeping people. Okay? That's their thing.
And that's key.
Oh, yeah.
In African society, there was no prison.
No.
No old folks home?
No.
None of that.
No, none of that. So we're dealing with completely, even though it's been going on for a long time, it's justice from a very foreign mentality.
And the housing and maintaining of incarcerated people definitely comes out of, if you look into the history, as you correct, Europe, Spanish Inquisition, torturing, public, they used to put people in the shackles and put them in the middle of the village so people could see them, public hangings, things of that nature. I think the whole system, which was brought over here during the colonial period, has not worked, and it's not working. And the prison industrial complex is one of the most wasteful spending areas of this country. And if they would revamp that, you wouldn't have such a budget deficit that the right-wingers are always complaining about.
That's right. And I think in California and a few other states, they're starting to direct some of that money towards education. Okay, some of their governors and statesmen are starting to see the light on that. Okay, and this is where it has to be across the board. You're going to have these southern states. You're going to have these senators and governors kicking and screaming, but you got to force them out of it.
Well, one of the things we've talked about before, Chris, and we're here on the network, myself, Pat Freeman, and Chris Stevenson, one of the basic problems that we've seen in this country is that the two major parties are now changing the face of what needs to be done to cure the ills of this country. One, the Democratic Party. They want to say, we've got to help the middle class. We've got to help the middle class. The middle class deserves tax cuts. They're the fuel. They're the engine of the country. Okay, that seems to be the Democratic thing. On the right wing, hey, we got to get the rich tax cuts so their benefit can trickle down to the rest of the people by creating jobs and what have you. But was this always the most successful philosophy of this country? When this country began to move in a more positive direction, it was a movement to eliminate poverty.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems. We don't hear anybody talking about, we're going to do things to get rid of poverty. We're going to do things to eliminate the social ills by increasing aid to education and what have you. Poverty is the biggest problem in this country, and we're seeing candidates who have some of the worst poverty records in history. And this guy, Rick Perry, he's a dangerous person. He's done nothing to eliminate poverty in Texas. No. If you eliminate poverty, you eliminate a lot of the crimes that occur in this country.
Exactly. Exactly.
And we wouldn't have the harmful execution of an innocent man with preponderances of evidence, because the community wants retribution for a heinous crime, in which they have a right to feel that way. But make sure you get it right. There was no guarantee you got it right with Troy Davis.
That's the whole key. That's the whole key. Make sure you got the right person. And I would think with the police department, they should be the ones out in the forefront trying to get the right person.
Right.
They seem to, just as the case with Mumia, they just want to just go with the guy that they got.
He did it.
For whatever.
Let's get it.
Let's get him. Okay. Don't you like the person that was shown? Is that your comrade? Don't you want to get the person who really did this? Okay.
Now, Chris, you were telling me before there was a significant public outcry against this execution of Troy Davis around the country. Tell the audience a little bit about the protests around the country from New York to Georgia on this execution.
Well, you know what? Especially in Georgia, they had raised a petition, and they filed it towards the what they call the BPP, the Board of Paroles and Pardons, whatever. It was almost 1 million people signed that. Okay, a lot of people had gotten together, and the board looked at this and said, "Nope, we don't want it." They rejected it. All right. Now of course the celebrities and everything, and the other people, the Pope and all of them, they got on board. They said this is an outrage. Bill Clinton, people like that, they sided with Troy Davis, and they tried to persuade the parole board, and then they tried to persuade the county, I think it was the Butts County DA's office. Okay, I called the Butts County, myself and many other people called the Butts County DA's office. I was on that phone all that time that they wouldn't even answer. Okay, the only time I successfully got through was with the parole board people. They did take my call and everything. I called them a couple of times. Other people said they got through, but some of us on Facebook, we try to get into the Butts County DA. I think the guy's name is Larry. I forget his last name, but he was not even answering his calls. I don't think
there were online petitions that went around all over the world against this execution. This was one of the largest protested, successful executions in this nation's history. Yeah. And it seemed that the media, though they reported on this, did not report accurately the public outrage of this inhumane treatment. Right. Human dignity is once again being disrespected in this country by the laws of certain states that are still executing human beings, and I think this is a travesty. I don't see any success. I don't see what's the success of executing Troy Davis, and you don't know if you got it right.
You don't know if you got it right.
Or Cameron Willingham of Texas, who Governor Perry knew he got it wrong, who fired a commission that was set up looking into that execution, knew he got it wrong. He fired the commission, put his own people in there, they executed him anyway. Yeah. Later on, an independent body found that this was a wrongful execution.
See, that's the whole thing. I don't excuse any personality just because to do something like this. Not only to get something wrong, but for them to change things around, to manipulate circumstances and people, remove people. Like you say, this guy fired people just because he say, "Oh, they know me now. They know I got it wrong. I'm just going to put my people up there." Okay, we all know, we all see what's going on. Okay, But you know, inside these people, they're kind of like ego-driven. They're narcissistic, okay, and they do things like this right in front of the whole nation's eyes. You know, and to me, their pride isn't worth it. Not when it comes to truth.
I think there's so much going on. I want to move towards the presidential election and talk a little bit about. They recently had a debate in which Rick Perry and the Republican candidates once again looked absolutely foolish, especially on the policy of immigration. This country is founded upon immigration.
That's true.
You came here and immigrated here.
You weren't invited.
You weren't invited.
You weren't invited. There is no history of any colonized country asking for Europeans or white people to come.
Right.
Hey, we need some of them up here. You know, there's no history of that.
You just came and took the place.
Right.
And now you want to prevent other people from coming here. This whole country is founded upon immigration.
Yep.
But now you want to put, feet on the ground and keep people out. Come on. What is this about?
It's his intention. I'm not against immigration, but I think we should call a 20-year moratorium on it until we get everybody in here that's already here legalized and working, prosperous. You know what I'm saying? Get jobs created and everything.
I think they need to set up a program of allowing immigration to continue. But like you said, they don't have it right.
No.
And they've only started putting these restrictions on immigration as they've seen the rise of people of color and the power that they have in this country, and that now Europeans are becoming a minority.
Yeah.
And you might not, it is very unlikely that within the next 20 years, that if at the rate of population in this country, you might not have another European president unless he is for the people, by the people, and definitely has policies that will help rise up everybody in this country. And that is something we have not seen from the Republican Party, including their black candidate, the former corporate president of Godfather's Pizza, because he's got issues.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad to see that. And President Obama has tried to, he's done the same thing every other black candidate has done. You try to work with everybody. And once again, you see that you got to start strong-arming your policies through.
Yes.
This is the only way politics works in this
country. Do you think he completely understands that?
I think he's starting to.
Yeah.
Because the man obviously is very intelligent. He's got very smart people around him. When he put forth that jobs bill, they're going to ram that through. That's going to happen.
Okay.
That's going to happen. I can't see that jobs bill failing. If that jobs bill fails, it won't be because he has put it in front of the people. This is to put people back to work. This is to fix the infrastructure of this country. And there are certain other factors that are involved in eliminating that deficit. The person that created this deficit was George Bush.
Yeah. George
Bush and his nemesis partner, Dick Cheney, are the ones that created this deficit.
Now, I've been hearing, not to cut you off, I heard that within a couple of days ago, maybe a day or two ago, that they tried to filibuster this bill, this jobs bill, I think it was. And I think they had they put a little amendment or whatever in it that if they didn't get what they wanted, you know, the Republicans, that they were going to withhold disaster relief whenever the next disaster occurs, unless they get what they wanted out of this bill.
They're out of their minds.
Yes, they're out of their minds.
Out of their minds.
But that didn't go through. That was all of them didn't go along with it. I think it got shot down, which it should have. It's an insane proposition.
The problem is that the tax breaks that were put in place by the Bush administration have bankrupted this country, eliminated a $534 billion surplus that he inherited from the Clinton administration.
Yeah.
If they would just go back to the tax policies that were in place during the Clinton administration, you would begin to eliminate the deficit spending by creating more useful revenues from rich people. If Warren Buffett And are the other rich people that have philanthropic minds feel that they need to pay their share? Why are Republican people still protecting their buddies from paying taxes?
Right, exactly. That's a big step up with Warren Buffett. That's the key to the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay. Here's a guy. He actually comes out and says, "Yeah, I need to pay more taxes." So what's the rest of you guys complaining about?
I'm worth $39 billion.
Exactly.
I need to pay more taxes.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Exactly.
But you want to keep taxing the people that don't have anything.
Right.
You know, we're not bringing home any money. And if we're not bringing home any money, we're the biggest consumers. If we don't have any money, how can consumer spending be up? And you got people using credit cards to the point of bankruptcy. That's not good economics.
Yeah.
Put more money into people's hands in another way by creating revenues to cover government programs through a fair tax system to the entire nation.
Oh yeah. See, I wrote in my recent article dealing with Dominique Strauss-Kahn in the IMF. He and his IMF, they're taxing poor people in Pakistan to death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but wealthy oil people in Pakistan, they get like a 15-18% tax cut. All right, and I said that sounds familiar. Okay,
that's the way it is here.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. These people they do this, and this has got to stop here. It's got to stop everywhere. Really,
it's killing this country.
Yeah,
it's killing this country because the people you're taxing to death don't have any money.
Yeah, and the people who don't know anything, people most of those on the right who actually made up what they thought was a brilliant excuse. They said, well, those people create jobs. They deserve tax breaks. No, they're supposed to create jobs.
That's what they're supposed to do. They got money. You got money. That's how you make money.
Yes.
But you got to pay taxes too.
Exactly.
It's not trickling. They're not trickling it down. They're outsourcing the jobs.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Yep.
They're outsourcing the jobs overseas. Yep. They're making engines in Brazil instead of the United States of America. You're giving them breaks, but they're outsourcing the jobs. It's not working.
Right.
You've created a one-world economy, but the American people are the ones that are hurting.
They've made corporate America un-American.
Right. Absolutely.
They have. They've made corporate America anti-American.
Right. They can do business anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
They can employ people anywhere in the world, but they're not putting Americans to work.
Right.
And the average American is unemployed. That's why unemployment is so high.
Yeah.
Even though they've taken all these strides to fix the economy, it is not fixed until they fix this system.
Right.
And you have fought President Obama at every step of the way to address these issues.
Yeah.
And if the Democrats want to deal with these issues, they got to start strong-arming for these policies. They should have done it while they had a majority of both houses.
Yeah.
When that first election hurt tremendously, and part of that was that grassroots Tea Party movement thinking that someone stole your country.
That's right.
From who? These are the same people the other day that booed a gay soldier who put his life on the line in Iraq.
That's right.
Same people. Something's wrong with you.
Yep.
Treat people the way you want to be treated, whether you agree with them or not. Hey, we're going to be back here next week. The network has returned. My man Chris Stevenson's on fire. He's on fire. Look at him. He's sweating. He's on fire. We got some big issues coming next week.
Right.
Tune into the network. You can catch us on Chris Stevenson's site. Give him your address there, buddy.
Point Blank 009 if you're on Twitter or Facebook, or Point Blank DTA at yahoo.com, or my blog, The Buffalo Bullet, www.thebuffalobullet.com.
Hey, executions in America, unjust system towards humans. I think America needs to grow up and join the rest of the world.